A lot of times we get asked, should I do SEO or PPC, pay-per-click? Which one is better, search engine optimization or pay-per-click? Well, I'm going to cover some of the pros and cons of each in this video. In order to grow your business online, you might be wondering whether you should invest your time and money into search engine optimization, SEO, or pay-per-click advertising, PPC. Both have positives and negatives, and we try and use the two complementary to each other to really drive business to you. So let's take a look at both, and let's look at the positives and negatives and how they tend to work. So first question, is SEO better? Well, search engine optimization or SEO, is the process whereby you optimize a website to appear as high in search engine results as possible for a specific search term or set of search terms, like auto repair near me or Toyota dealer near me. A massive part of this process is trying to figure out what the search engines want and then optimizing your web page accordingly. And of course, the search engines change this stuff all the time, but in general, there's some very normal approaches that the search engines are going to use. And the first one is thinking about what is the user of the search engine looking for, and does this web page answer that question? At the end of the day, that becomes a fundamental approach for SEO. So there's some pros to SEO. The first pro to SEO is organic traffic. Organic traffic is traffic you're not paying directly for. It's traffic that is when you type in Toyota dealer near me and you show up at the top of the organic search, or you show up over in the Google My Business section on the right-hand side of the web page. You've got free traffic. That organic traffic has staying power. Once you're able to get your website up at the top in the rankings, it's very hard to move you down, and chances are good that you're going to be able to generate pretty consistent traffic without having to continue to spend money on clicks for your advertising. Over time, number two, over time, SEO is often a less expensive option than pay-per-click. When you compare the two traffic sources, SEO almost always comes out the winner of the two when looking at traffic generated, particularly on Google, where pay-per-click advertising tends to be very competitive and very expensive. As long as you're looking at the traffic, once you've attained those high ratings on the search engines, the cost is very low. However, you've got some negatives to SEO, which causes the overall initial cost to maybe feel a little bit higher. There's a couple negatives. The first one is SEO takes time. It could take months, up to a year or more, for your hard work to show rewards in SEO. If you don't have time to wait for your website and content to rank, then solely relying on SEO might not be the best option for you. That's where fusionZONE and FZA Digital tend to utilize a stack approach, where we will start advertising with pay-per-click at the beginning while the SEO piece rises. And then as your website begins to rank higher on SEO, we can begin to decrease the budgets on your pay-per-click. What that does is gets you a higher return on investment and more organic, sticky traffic in the long run. But in order to be able to drive traffic right out the gate, because SEO takes time, we tend to use pay-per-click at that point to accelerate traffic onto your site. The other negative of SEO is you need unique and quality content. When it comes to content, people want to read the best content available. And the search engines want to serve up answers that, and the search engines want to serve up the answers to the questions that their users are asking. That takes a lot of work, and it requires research, a creative mind, and a fair bit of writing. If you don't have those skills yourself, it's probably to your advantage to hire someone who can build that content out and make sure that it's unique to you. So under what conditions is pay-per-click better? Well, PPC, or pay-per-click advertising, for those that don't know, is a technique that allows you to advertise, to pay search engines to be at the very top of the page. And you'll normally see those with a little ad badge in front of them. And that brings immediate targeted traffic to your website. So the pros of PPC are fairly obvious. You've got quick results. Unlike SEO, where it's going to take months or potentially even more than a year to see the results of moving yourself up into the organic rankings, it's possible to get on that first page, first listing, your first day. Maybe not first day, but it's possible to get up there very quickly because you're paying the search engine to put you there. So they've got an incentive to get you to the top. You could get substantial traffic to your website within a few hours utilizing an effective pay-per-click campaign. You can accurately target different demographics too. So when you're using pay-per-click, you might be able to target different types of people. You can potentially target males who are age 30 to 45 that have outdoor interests that live within 50 miles of your shop. If you potentially are looking for folks who would want to buy 4x4 accessories, for instance, you can target that person with your ad. SEO doesn't give you that option. SEO takes a look at your content, says, does this answer the question? And then it serves up that web link to the customer. In this case, you're able to go, I want this customer, I'm going to pay to be served, to have my ad served to that customer at the top of the page and have them click on it and drive me relevant traffic. With PPC, you can also experiment pretty quickly. So if something's not working, you can make changes to that ad right away. And within minutes, the changes to those ads are reflected in the searches and are reflected in your ad campaigns. You could run A/B tests, which allow you to see if layout A or layout B works better, or the text in A or the text in B works better. And you can make adjustments very quickly. SEO is a much slower process, so it takes time to figure out if something's working or it's not working. And then once you make a change, it takes time for that change to flow its way through the system. There's some negatives to PPC as well. So PPC can be expensive, particularly if you don't have experience in PPC and you do kind of a broad firing of ads and hope that people are going to be able to find you and that they're going to be relevant and they're going to click through. If you're in a competitive niche like auto repair, PPC can be very expensive and your return on investment might be low, because if your RO amount is low and your PPC costs are high and your customer acquisition costs are high, you might not get the ROI you're looking for on pay-per-click. And you also are going to have some trial and error, and if ads aren't working, you're going to be paying to run those ads, and while you're going to get rapid feedback and can make rapid changes, the investment in those ads is lost. The second is ads become less effective over time. If you use the same ads with every campaign, they become stale and ineffective. And so to combat this, you need to continue to mix up the copy and the images and display advertising and retargeting and refresh those ads from time to time to get eyes on from the customer to your ad and continue to engage them, particularly with display advertising where you're utilizing a photo. If they see the same photo over and over and over again, people will tend to tune that out. So a need to be able to change up that display advertising to be able to draw eyeballs onto that ad's important. And you need to be able to manage that if you're going to manage your own PPC campaign to get effective return on investment. So which one should you use? Well, when it comes to determining whether SEO or PPC is better for your business, the answer is it depends. So both are legitimate sources of traffic. Both can drive traffic to your website. If you want quicker results, then PPC is your better option because SEO takes time to work. If you've got a really small budget and you've got some time, SEO is going to be the better option because paid ads are really expensive. SEO you could do yourself. And if you want to learn some of the tips and tricks on how to do it yourself, reach out to us at fzadigital.com or fzautomotive.com and get a copy of our latest book, Crushing SEO. It's going to give you steps to make your SEO work well, and it is something you could absolutely do yourself with an investment of time. If your budget's small and you've got a little bit of time to spend, SEO might be the best option. However, when we're dealing with a lot of our dealerships, particularly those that have co-op dollars available, and even those dealerships that are smaller but have a more progressive view of what their digital advertising should look like, we use the two in tandem. When we use them together, you can really ramp up the amount of traffic to the site. We start with SEO and begin working the SEO process, but layer in a fairly heavy PPC budget at the beginning. And the SEO budget might be a little bit lighter. So we're putting in some light content. We're making sure that Google My Business is optimized. We've got some additional fresh content being done. We're making sure that the tagging and technical SEO is being done. And we're utilizing and driving traffic through paid search. Then, as time goes on and the rankings begin to rise, we're able to pull down the budget on the paid search side, reinvest some of that budget over into SEO to build more content faster to drive the rankings up. And eventually, we may be able to pull the paid search almost completely off or utilize that paid search to direct it in a more targeted way to get rid of, for instance, aged inventory or to drive specials into the service lane. And that's going to allow the dealer or the repair facility to be able to have a little bit more control over that paid search side and make sure that that's targeted as opposed to general branding and other things, and allow the SEO to drive the general traffic and general branding. If you have any questions about this or need any help with your SEO or paid search, please feel free to contact us at www.fzadigital.com or www.fzautomotive.com. We look forward to working with you. Until next time.